Hey, what is up, everybody? Thank you for joining another Speedcast interview session. I am your host, Zoom CW, also known as Julio. Today we have a very talented up and coming young actor. You know him as Private Garcia in Netflix's The Liberator. He's also playing young Lord um, Maxwell, young Maxwell Lord in Wonder Woman 1984. I'm very excited to have him on. He is none other than the young and talented Pedro Leandro. So let's go ahead and get him on the Speedcast interview session. Pedro,
Hello, man.
how are you?
I'm very, very good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining my Speedcast this Saturday. I truly appreciate your time. How are things out there in your neck of the woods?
I mean, things in general probably aren't very good. I personally am all right. I'm very, very happy to be here. But yeah, I mean, we're in lockdown at the moment, so I'm just hanging out, doing a lot of cooking, chilling, really.
Have you been binging anything on Netflix?
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, one thing I've been binging has been The Liberator, which has been really cool. I mean, not only is the show amazing, I love it. I love it so much. I have so much respect for everyone that's been on board. Greg Yonkaitis, the director, who like was the mastermind behind the animation, is like such an impressive dude. As are so many of the other people. I guess we'll talk about it more. But I've been watching The Crown as well, obviously. All that Netflix stuff. I watched Watchmen last week as well. Jesus Christ, Watchmen is so good.
Isn't it amazing the way they adapted that story into
Yeah.
the stuff that's going on now?
It was insane. Like, I didn't think it was going to be so timely. Someone had tried to explain it to me, and I was like, I don't buy it. But it was really, really good.
That's awesome, man. So, you mentioned The Liberator. I mean, congratulations on that.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank
Amazing work. When I saw it debut on, it came up on my feed on Netflix, and when it gave that, gives you that summary or that little sneak preview, and when I saw that it had to deal with, some of the folks that really don't get the recognition
Yeah,
during
man.
World War II, like the Native Americans, the Mexican Americans,
Uh,
combining forces with, those Oklahoma cowboys, if you will.
yeah.
I mean, I mean, I had to watch it, man. It was like must see TV.
Yeah.
Um, so far, how has this ride been for you, man?
Well, I mean, since it's come out, it's been crazy. It's been a really good week. Just like the response has been so good. Like people have loved it, and it did so well on Netflix. Loads of people have watched it and stuff. But I mean, the journey for me started 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago, when I first sort of got the script um, for the audition, and I remember reading it, and I was just like, this is so good. This is just like great stuff. And like you, I just sort of I read the brief, and the fact that it's this very familiar story that we all know, sort of like Second World War, uh, very brave soldiers fighting the Nazis. We've seen it before, but it's the fact that it's telling that story through the lens of the Latinos who fought in the war and the Native Americans who fought in the war. I thought that was just so cool. And the fact that it was truly about that, like that's not just a thing that they put on the label, like it just truly tells their stories and represents them in their experiences in the war. I thought that was really powerful. And then the fact that after a while I eventually got the job, I was absolutely blindsided by it. Because I was doing another job at the time and I had to leave. That's a whole story. But I then getting to go to Poland, to Łódź, and meeting those guys, meeting those Mexican Americans, meeting those Latinos, meeting those Native American actors. It's really powerful, actually, because like they're not just an underrepresented community in the army, they are as well in my industry. You know what I mean? So like actually seeing these like guys become brothers and like we really hit it off, man. It was a really, really good time. I loved it.
So when you went to Poland, I'm assuming, did you guys film there or was it?
Yeah, we filmed in Poland. We filmed in a little town called Łódź, which is spelled Lodz. So I called it Lodz for ages. But it's called Łódź, and it's kind of like one of the centers for like the Polish film industry. And over there they call it Hollywood. And they basically, a Trioscope have a studio there, and that's where they make movies with, well, and TV shows with this kind of technology, in the blue room with all this animation and stuff. And it was really exciting to be there.
You know, when I saw it, when I hit play, I was expecting maybe something like Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers or something like that. But when I saw that animation from the beginning, I was just blown away, man. I'm a big fan, and I don't know if you probably know this band. The band is Aha. They have a song called "Take on Me."
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Take on Me.
And you know, when I started watching The Liberator, I was like, oh my God, this is like watching, you know, that Take on Me video, but with World War II.
I love that.
I was like amazed, man. Can you talk about, was that the original plan to film it in this format, or was that something that just came about because of the situation with the pandemic? Or maybe you guys filmed this like 2 years ago or a year ago, like you said, you read 2 years. How did that come about?
Yeah, no, we started filming it in March of 2019, so like a year and a half ago now. So yeah, it had nothing to do with any pandemic thing. It was a real, I remember even when I got the material for the audition, like this was one of the big things about it, was that it was going to have this revolutionary animation technology that had never been seen before. I mean, we had some reference points, so like Waltz with Bashir, but that's like more animation, and like Sin City, which Greg worked on, is similar, but like kind of, it's more like colored in live action. Do you know what I mean? It's not as much animation as purely. So the animation was a big and integral part of the project, and that was one of the things that like everyone was most excited about. And as an actor, it was like both really challenging, because actually you're spending your days in a blue room and they're going like, and now you're in a barn, and now you're in a tank, go. And you're going like, okay, I'm imagining like a bridge. But also it was so exciting because like you could do anything. You can do anything. And these wizards will just like fill it in behind you.
Is that where you're like your acting background, like all that training, all that, you know, method acting and everything that's instilled into you during those, when you were taking those classes for acting, that's where your imagination really comes through, right? You got to pretend that you're under a bridge. You got to pretend, you know, that there's all this fire coming at you, right? All these bullets coming your way. How did you zone in for that particular, you know, for those particular scenes? What did you do?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. I think the acting at its like most basic, to me, whether you're acting in a World War II drama or like a Christmas rom-com, like at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do the most is focus on my scene partner, right? So in any given scene, in any given situation, you got a job to do, you got some words to tell, you got a person to tell them to. And that's sort of how I've been trained always. But then you're right that actually part of being in that space and being in that studio and stuff, part of the excitement was that you get to have that childlike imagination, which was like, the reason I got into acting in the first place was sort of like when I was 10 years old, like running around, or like when I was 5 years old, even being like, yeah, I'm in a fort. Like that's what you actually get to do. And like your imagination fills in those blanks. Now, Greg, the director, would go around set with this iPad and it would have a few like images for each scene. It would have like the blueprint for the scene a bit. So we had a kind of like outlined idea of what like the background was going to be like and what the scene was going to look like. But really, your brain is just going 100 miles an hour trying to imagine like the craziest version of what's going on. You know, you're on your stomach shooting at hundreds of Nazis. That's what you're thinking about. So yeah, it's really fun. It's a good time.
It looked like you guys had so much fun on the set, man. I've seen some of your, your feed and the other your colleagues' feeds, and it looked like you had tons of fun in that studio, man. Prior to landing this role, did you know any of the other actors from this project?
Well, no, not really. I mean, I'd heard of Bradley James. He was like a superstar, obviously. I don't think I'd heard of anyone else in the cast. I've since seen a few people in other stuff and been like, oh my God, that's... So like Forrest Goodluck, for example, was in, what was that really, really good movie? It's about like the gay conversion camp with Chloe Grace Moretz. Anyway.
Oh my God, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the title right now.
Yeah, Miseducation of Something. Yeah, I remember seeing him in that movie a few months after we shot The Liberator and being like, that's my boy! But I knew Bradley James from before, not personally, but I'd seen Merlin and Medici and that sort of stuff. And then the rest of it was just a surprise. Yeah.
You guys look like, like I said, you guys were having so much fun, and you could see the chemistry between all of you guys, during this project when you see your scenes. So before you landed this role, were you big into the World War II history, or did you have to do more, a lot of research for this role? How did that come about?
Well, I guess we all learn about it and stuff, but to prepare for The Liberator, I read the book. I remember even like after I did the recall, before I got the part, I bought the book because I was interested by it. I was like, this sounds like a really cool story. And actually, what reading the book gave me a sense of the most was like how much, because I'd read the script for the TV show and I was like, oh, well, this is like, some of this stuff is obviously made up. Like some of this stuff is crazy. Like the bit where Captain Sparks like runs through this field to like rescue this dude as like there's a sniper shooting at him. That's true. That's 100% true. Him coming back to the trenches after being wounded, that's 100% true. Like it just made me sort of keenly aware of how extraordinary some people get faced with extraordinary circumstances. And that was kind of what we all were kind of briefed to do, because the thing about our battalion during the Second World War, well, their battalion, was that they had more days in battle than anyone else, than any other battalion in the US Army. They fought for 500 days, and which is crazy. And like so many of them died, and they showed incredible bravery. And they were a really important part of winning the war.
That's insane, man. 500 days, And like you said, you know, when Sparks went back for his man, knowing that those sharpshooters were up there, um, that was intense, man. That was intense. You know, both myself and my sons were huge, you know, history buffs when
Mm,
it comes to World War II. And when we saw you guys, you know, this was one of the most accurate versions that we've seen to date. I mean, it was just amazing. Kudos to the entire cast and crew. Amazing job. Everyone needs to go see this on Netflix, The Liberator on Netflix. Please go see it. It's amazing. It shows the camaraderie, you know, how different people's you know, the different backgrounds, if you will, you know, ethnicities, you know, how you were raised. It puts all that aside and you
mm.
fight as one. It's not about Native Americans. It's not about Mexican Americans. It's not about the Oklahoma Cowboys. It's about being one unit and being brothers. That's what I love about this, man. It's just, you know, like I said, it was amazing. Your scene in the barn was pretty funny. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was cool. That was my first day. That was my first day on set, man. Yeah,
Um, you know, I don't know. Spoiler alert, real quick. Spoiler alert. I mean, you know, you talked about the bridge. That bridge scene was so intense, man. And
that was so cool. Yeah, that was a really, really cool day when we got to do that. Because, I mean, everything had been ramping up to that, right, for my section of the cast. Because I don't know the guys from episode 3, episode 4. We didn't overlap with them on set. So it was kind of, we did this on the last day. All of these guys who had been hanging out for weeks were all together. And we were just doing this scene, like, giving it our all. And at the end, it was really emotional, man. Because, like, that was the end of our journey, and that was the end of our character's journey in the story. Spoiler alert, sorry. Yeah, it was really, really cool to do. It was such a cool scene, and it's so well written. I mean, you can really tell that it's Jed Stewart who wrote it. Like, the literal writer of Die Hard wrote this stuff. Like, you got some, like, really intense, over the top, super cool things going on. Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, legendary writer, man, definitely.
It is.
Um, you know, like I said, that this is one of the best I've ever seen. So kudos to you. And I also want to take time to thank all the veterans out there. You know, thank you for everything you
That's
guys
cool.
do. You know, definitely, it was a perfect day to release. They released it on Veterans Day.
Yeah, they did.
Um, that was just amazing on Netflix's part to do this project. You know, like I said, unsung heroes, right? The Mexican Americans and Native Americans and the Oklahoma Cowboys. I'm glad that this was done. I want to switch gears and I want to talk about a new a project that's coming out
Yeah,
that was just recently announced to
yeah,
finally release.
yeah.
We're going to talk about your role in Wonder Woman 1984,
Yeah, man.
and we just got a release date of December 25th in theaters and on HBO Max. No pun intended. So I got to ask you, man, how did this role come about? How did it come your way? Before I ask you anything else, have you seen the movie yet?
I haven't seen it yet. And yeah, I guess I've got to be careful what I say about it because it hasn't come out yet. But I mean, talking about my journey with the movie, it was my first job ever. I'd
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, I'd come out of drama school a few months before and had just been hitting a wall for ages, like just so many no's. That's how it is when you come out of when you like start the industry. It's just no, 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 no everywhere. And these guys took a chance on me, so it was really good. But you know, I'm a tiny, tiny part of it. I spent one day on set, and I felt kind of like a Make-A-Wish kid on this set. Like I was just sort of like, oh my god. Oh my god! The whole time I was just completely starstruck, and yeah, I got to meet Pedro Pascal, who was so nice to me. He was a lovely, lovely man. He was like hey, how's it going? And I was like, well, this is my first job. You know, I haven't really been able to get many jobs since I graduated. And he was like, nah, dude, when I was your age, I couldn't get arrested. It
Oh,
was so nice. Yeah, it was just like no one would take notice of me. It takes ages. Don't worry, you'll get there. It's all good, and you're in good company. And it just made me feel so validated as an actor because until that time, you know, I'd spent so long being like, oh, I'm an actor, I guess. I don't know. I'm not acting. And then actually hanging out with him and him telling me his story and being so kind to me was super inspiring, man.
you know, you're you're talking to the Mandalorian, and he is
Yeah,
right now
yeah. The
the
thing.
hottest, one of the hottest actors in
Yeah,
the
dude.
industry.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to take you under his wing and mentor you that way, that says a lot about your acting chops, man, your ability.
Thanks very much.
So, I mean, yeah, and I've talked to a lot of actors, and they've said the same thing when they first get into the business. They get the door shut in their face so many times,
Yeah.
but you have to persevere and keep going because it's your dream and it's what you love. And for the fact that Pedro took, and it's kind of funny, right? That and we have a word for this in Spanish. We say tocayo,
Tocayo.
right? With a tocayo. So a friend of yours with the same name.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He's my tocayo.
He's your
We got
tocayo,
that
right?
in Spain. That's funny.
Is it the same word in Spain?
No, it's
Is it
not. It's
tocayo?
not. No, no, no.
No.
I've never heard. Well, or if it is, I haven't heard that word before, man. Yeah, he
In
was my tocayo.
Spain. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, when I got to set, they were like, "Oh, Pedro's here," and everyone's sort of like, "Oh shit, Pedro's here! Oh god!" And then they realized it was me. So they're like, "All right, the other Pedro's in the other car. He's on his way."
That's a good story, man. But that's awesome that he took you under his wing and mentored you that way. And other actors have said, when you go for these auditions, you hope and pray that the Brad Pitts of the world,
Mm.
and the George Clooney of the world are not going, have not been offered the same role because you want that small window of opportunity to prove yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all you want, man. You just want, and I think people make an effort in the industry to try to do that, but they just see so many people that it's really hard, right, to be there for the person. But I think what I found with the casting director for Wonder Woman was a wonderful lady called Lucinda Sison. She and her assistants really took the time and really believed in me, and like we did so many takes and like we had a chat about it, and it was really, really great. So people like them do the Lord's work for people like us, because it means that, as an actor, you get seen for 5 minutes. You get this audition through. You have like a week to prepare it, and then you just spend a week sort of going like, okay, right, let's do it. And then you get there. You have 5 minutes. Hello, do your scene. Goodbye. Off you go. And so all you want is for someone to just be there with you and pay attention to you and give you a chance.
When your agent calls you and tells you you landed the role, or whoever called you,
Yeah.
how did that make you feel? What did you do? Did you party? Did you celebrate?
Dude, I cried, man. I cried. Because I was having a really bad day. I just gotten rejected for a job that morning, which I really wanted as well. So I was really low. And like it was like 6 p.m. on a Friday, and 6 p.m. on a Friday usually is when I know that that's it. I'm not getting any jobs that week either. Right. So it's just another week where I'm not going to get a job. And then I got this call from my agent, and he was being really cool about it. He was like, yeah, whatever, like Wonder Woman say they want you, so they'll give you a call. You'll probably work a day, like in a couple of weeks. And I was like, dude, did I get the job? And he was like, oh, yeah, 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 you got the job. And I was like, oh, my God. Yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night.
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you. And, hopefully this opens the door. I mean, obviously it's opened the door, for the Liberator and other potential jobs that you probably can't talk to us about. But was that when you were a kid growing up, was that what you wanted to do all along? You wanted to be an actor? Did you get like did you get inspired by anything that you saw, or were you aiming for something else?
No, dude, I did want to be an actor. I spent a long time wanting to be a singer as well. I wanted to be on stage. I was always like the kid on the dining table at the family gathering, like telling stories really badly for half an hour, and the whole family has to listen, kind of thing. Yeah, I always wanted to perform. I decided I wanted to be an actor, like for real, seriously, when I was about 20 years old, when I was at university, because I started watching these videos of, it's like a documentary. It's called Playing Shakespeare, and it's like the Royal Shakespeare Company, really, really big over here. We're doing all this series of workshops with this really big director called John Barton, and like Judi Dench is in that, freaking Ian McKellen's in it, all sorts of people, and just seeing like how good they were at their job, like how difficult that job is, how difficult that craft is, and how good you can get at it. That was the moment where I was like, I want to be as good as, I want to get that good eventually. I want to learn how to be that good, basically. So that's when I sort of decided overnight. I was just like, right, well, that's it. I'm gonna act.
There's a few comments down there. I don't know if you saw them. Somebody said that when they grow, I believe it was Mr. Palma that wants to be. He says he wants to be just like you when he grows up.
I want to be just like him when I grow up, man. I want my mustache to be just as good as his mustache when I grow up.
He was awesome too, man, and
Yeah,
delivering. He's got a very funny scene the when he's playing cards, right?
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. He was so good. And he was so nice to me as well, because like he was a lot more experienced than me. So like when I arrived on set, he really took me under his wing, and like we went for drinks and stuff, and it was really, really good to meet him. He's a good friend.
That's awesome. Hey, there's a lot of and you know this. There's a lot of great actors that come from London, from the UK in
Yeah.
general, and I mean, you mentioned Sir Ian McKellen. I mean, who's that one actor that you say, oh my God, that's the guy that I wanna,
Yeah.
is it like Sir Anthony Hopkins? Is it, who is that guy that you say I wanna, I wanna be just like him?
Mm. Well, I guess it's hard because it changes all the time, right? Because like there's so much stuff to watch that you just sort of I get inspired so much by so many people. I remember watching a couple of years ago. I remember watching Viola Davis in Doubt, and she rocked my world. And I was like, how do you do that? Like how? And like she's in a movie with like Philip Seymour
Viola
Hoffman,
Davis.
Meryl Streep,
I have,
Adams, and like the biggest hitters that are alive. And she comes in for one scene and she absolutely destroys it. So like her for sure. And I think recently, a couple of years ago, I watched Andrew Scott in Hamlet at the theatre here in London, and that changed something in me. I was like, okay, I want to be that kind of actor. He's just so free and so radical and so different, and like, yeah, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything. I'm a huge fan of his. I think if I could have any career at the moment, I would go for Andrew Scott's, because it's based in theater, and I'm a theater nerd. Like my career, my passion for acting started in the theater. So yeah, those guys I really respect.
some of the best actors are theater actors, man.
Yeah, man.
And the transition over to film for them it seems like it's seamless. It's easier, right? Because when you go on stage, you got to hit that mark the first time. You
Mm,
can't mess up.
mm.
And when you see like actors like Daniel Day-Lewis,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis is one of those amazing actors as well. But man, I know that there's going to be a lot more doors opening for you because you come from that background. I look forward to seeing you in more projects. So
Thanks,
on
man.
that note, are there any projects that that you're working on now or future projects that you can tell us about? We know you guys sign, NDA or, NDA agreements, but is there anything you could tell us?
There's a thing I just wrapped on. I think I'm allowed to do. Yeah, I should be allowed to talk about this. It's on IMDb. There's a TV show, really exciting TV show called Domino, and I'm in it for a few episodes. And we shot in Rome this year, and it was one of those productions that was affected by the pandemic, but like they really pulled it together. The team at Sky Atlantic pulled it together, and like it's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be so cool. It's based in ancient Rome, and it's the story of Livia Drusilla, who was a very powerful a Roman noblewoman who was the wife of, let me get this right, I'm going to say Emperor Augustus. I think it's Emperor Augustus. And she pulled strings behind the scenes. She was like the lady with all the power at the back, like doing all the plots and all the machinations. And Domino was another of those projects that like, as soon as I got the script for it, I was like, damn, this is cool. And I want to be in it. I want to be in it so much. And I think it's going to be really cool. And I had such a good time doing it. I think that's coming out in March or April. And that'll be on Sky. I don't know what that'll be for the US, but you guys get Sky Atlantic, right? Do you?
We do. I believe certain cable services get it, but Sky usually is like NBC TV, isn't it? Out here, at least.
I don't know. I'm completely ignorant. But yeah, let's go with yes. I hope it's a yes.
We'll see. It'll be on some streaming service, whether it's Hulu, Netflix.
It'll be on.
There's Apple TV. There's Disney Plus. There's so many services out here now. Speaking on that note, because of the pandemic, the theater has, you can't really go to the movies anymore. There's been more of a spotlight on streaming TV, right? These like your series, and I'm so glad that all these TV series now that on these streaming services are getting the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be in Wonder Woman 1984. We get that, but the smaller independent stuff, I'm so happy that they're getting the recognition. And hopefully after the pandemic is over, I'm hoping that they still get the recognition. What's your thought on that?
I completely agree, man. I completely agree. I think it's all well and good to have like massive productions like Wonder Woman. We love those. Like we love balls to the wall, like huge special effects and all of that stuff. But like I think the stuff that really pushes the boundaries is stuff that's small, stuff that's auteur-driven, that's like someone's vision that they just really need to tell that story. And I think we, this is just my grain of salt. I don't know that much about it, but my view on it is that for a while we were heading in a direction where it was more and more difficult to make indie stuff because stuff was just centered around huge productions and they were taking up all the money. And I think what the pandemic has shown us is that like small is very exciting. So hopefully we've learned that now, and we've learned from the necessity of the pandemic that sort of diversifying and doing small projects is the way. And like Netflix, for example, is so good at doing that, where they'll just like put money into this project over here, that project over there. And suddenly you have a very diverse stream of voices that are coming, and it means that Netflix is such a cool place to watch TV shows, watch movies. I mean, I've watched some of the best movies I've ever watched on Netflix, like the Noah Baumbach movies, and not only Marriage Story, but like what is it called? The Meyerowitz Stories Part 1. That was so good, and that's made for Netflix. So yeah, I hope that we keep going that way.
Your show in my house is consistently. It was on last night. It's been on the whole week. And the other one that I'm hooked on, and I love, was the Queen's Gambit. I don't know if you had a chance to see that one.
I've watched one episode. but I'm gonna keep going.
So good, man. I'm glad that, those shows are getting the recognition that they deserve. Me
Yeah,
and my wife just finished Emily in Paris 2 weeks ago. That was pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So, guys, if you guys have any questions for Pedro, there's a little button at the bottom with a little question mark. You guys can submit your questions down there. Any questions you may have, just keep in mind that Pedro did sign an NDA agreement for Wonder Woman 1984, so there's not he can't say too much. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type in your question. Before you landed that Wonder Woman 1984 role, did you like the comic book genre? Did you like the comic book, movies that were out there? And did you see the first Wonder Woman?
Well, weirdly, no. I'm not a huge comic book fan because I just didn't have them when I was a kid. They weren't around in my life. But then, obviously, growing up, then the comic book franchises, like cinematic franchises, are absolutely everywhere. So you're gonna see them. And Wonder Woman 1, I saw it ages ago. I saw it when it came out, I think, and it was sick. I mean, it was really, really cool. Amazing action sequences. Gal Gadot is so cool. Chris Pine is sick. So yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So when the thing came through for Wonder Woman 2, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is big. So yeah, it was really cool.
Are you ready for the fandom that's gonna come with being in Wonder Woman 1984? Are you ready for it?
Well, again, I'm a very, very small part of it. Like if any radiates onto me, awesome. But I doubt that I'll be the one that people go like, that dude was the dude in Wonder Woman. There's so much more. Like the fact that they've got Pedro now, and they've got Kristen Wiig, and they've got all this amazing cast. And I mean, Patty Jenkins, the director, is an icon. Like the lady, I think she's one of those people who has that star power that very few directors have, right? Like this lady is one of the biggest directors in the whole world, and the sort of attention that she commanded on set was insane. All of that while being extremely nice too, as I said, like a Make-A-Wish kid. Like I was just there going oh my God, this set is so big. And she was like, hey, I've seen your audition, love you, let's chat. Which felt so good to a young budding actor to have all these juggernauts around. So yeah, I mean, if I am not expecting a lot of attention from me personally from the Wonder Woman film, but I know that it is going to get enormous amounts of attention, and I'm excited for it, man. I'm psyched to see it.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to see it. And the fact that, like you mentioned, you felt like you were a Make-A-Wish kid in such a humongous production.
Insane.
And the fact that you still zoned in and did what you had to, that tells me that, you're a very professional and great actor, man. And you're, like I said at the beginning of my intro, you're a rising star in this industry. I can't wait to see where you go from here. I think we have a question down there. Is Maxwell Lore dead? And we can.
I can't say that. I can't say that, man.
Yeah, remember, guys.
Yeah.
Pedro signs an NDA. Can't answer those questions. Nice try, though.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could tell you.
So, I don't think we have any other. Do I have any other? We told us. Okay, yeah. So thank you so very much, Pedro, for joining my Speedcast. I truly appreciate it. You mentioned Spain earlier. Is that where your family is originally from Spain?
My mum's Spanish. My dad's Portuguese. And I grew up in Belgium. So I'm just European, basically. I'm from all over the place.
So when Spain plays Portugal in the World Cup, who do you root for?
It's a mess. Well, Do you know what? What's great about that is I can just root for the team that I genuinely like the best, and usually it's Spain. Come on, I mean, you know, they play amazingly, so it's
La
gonna be
madre patria, la madre patria.
exactamente. Tiene que ser.
My family, they hail from Sevilla for
Do they?
years, years ago. Of course, you know, this is like way down. My family's from Sevilla. They, you know, they migrated to Mexico and then made their way up to, you know, the LA area. So
Yeah.
that's where my line is from. I don't know where yours is from, but I know that Sevilla is one of the few places that does not honor the lisp.
Yeah, no, they don't do it. They don't do the lisp. Yeah, which means if you want to do a Mexican accent and you're Spanish, start by Sevilla and make your way west. But yeah, it's true. They have a very different accent. Where are you from in Mexico?
My parents are from the Pacific Coast part of Mexico, which is it's close to Jalisco. It's called Nayarit.
Amazing, very nice. I've been to Mexico twice, but like I don't think I went there. Is like Cancun near there? That was kind of
Oh no,
that's the
Cancun
other
is
end.
way south. That's on the East Coast side. That's towards the tip. That's on the Yucatan Peninsula. But Cancun is amazing. I've been there multiple times. I love it. What'd you think?
I loved it. I loved it. But I went. It's supposed to be like a party place, right? But I went. I was there with my family. We were doing like we were going all around Mexico, and the day we went to Cancun was the day that they were having elections, so they weren't selling alcohol.
Oh,
So it was like the one day that was like disastrous to be in Cancun was that day.
well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Did you get to go to Chichen Itza and Tulum and
Yeah, yeah, we went to
all
the
those other
tour,
places?
man. Yeah, 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 and DF and all the places. We have some family in DF. So they took us
Really?
all around. Yeah. Well, it's not called DF anymore, is it?
I still call it the FA.
You still
I don't
call
know
it
what other people call it,
DF.
but
Right. We'll call it
did you
DF.
have the street tacos?
Yes, man, absolutely, I did. I'm a huge fan of tacos. Even here, man, I get tacos every other week. I love it.
How is the Mexican food scene out there in London? I mean, is it decent? Is it, I mean, are there,
Well, the great thing about London, man, is that there is such a melting pot of cultures here, like unlike anywhere else in Europe. So, yeah, I'd say the Mexican food is quite good here. I mean, you know, there's some like bad Mexican food, but there's some like seriously some really good stuff. People try really hard, and like there's some proper Mexican people make some really good food. And you get crazy. You get like Filipino food. You get there's like a whole Colombian neighborhood where you can have like the most delicious Colombian food. Yeah, it's an amazing city for food, and like I'm obsessed with food. So it's very important to me. It means that I'm kind of addicted to London. I don't really want to leave, but I do really want to go to California one day, and like try what you guys got going on down there. Because like I've had the food of Mexico, and like it's some of my favorite food in the world.
California has some of the best food in the world, man, especially the Los Angeles area. You know, we have it all, man. It's a you know, you talk about the melting pot. It's a melting pot out here in Los Angeles.
Mm,
And the beautiful part about LA is that we love everybody.
yeah.
Everybody's welcome. It's amazing, man. I'm proud to say that I'm an Angelino,
Yes, man.
and you know, it's the food is amazing. And if you ever come out here, man, you know, let me know. I'll take you to some good Mexican food spots, the
Dude, yes.
best in the area, man.
I will take you up on that. That sounds amazing. I want a guide to all the best food trucks.
Hopefully, you know, when this pandemic is over, man, I mean, we still have the food trucks now, but you know, of course, there's rules in place. But
Yeah, of
hopefully,
course.
when the pandemic is over, you know, you'll be able to come out here and definitely check this place out, man.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'd love that.
Pedro, thank you so much.
Thank you,
It's
man. Thank you
and
so much for
I
having me.
wish thank you, and I wish you so much success
Thanks.
in your, you know, your future projects, and you know, hopefully once you do another big project, you know, you come back to my Speedcast. Um, you know, but thank you so much. please, be stay healthy and safe out there,
Good.
and have a very enjoyable rest of your day, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it. Take care, man.
See you later, buddy.
Much love.